Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. I'm Derek Asklar. Mr. Craig Talley's on the line. We'll be hosting the show tonight. Just going to do open lines tonight. If you have a topic you want to talk about, or questions or comments, you can call us in. Call in at 352-504-4170, and we'll get you put on the air and everything, or you can just jump on chat right there. Pretty easy deal. See, Barbara's already on there. And she's saying, ha ha, first in the evening. Yeah, usually Bill is or somebody, but Barbara got in there first tonight. So, anyways, yeah, give us a call in if you want to just get on to chat. All you have to do is log into Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio on Spreaker.com and hit the comment button, and that way you can get on there and chat with Barbara and the rest of the guys there, and a lot of experience there, so if you have questions and you don't want to call in, you always can put it up there, and they'll usually hound me until I answer, because I'm not really good about checking out the chat right there. Can't do two things at once, seems like. So, Craig, I didn't ever ask you this. When you're running off your phone there, are you able to see the comments and stuff on your side, or do you have to actually be?
I'd have to go into something else. I could probably do it, but I think AT&T allows to, have a phone call and maybe do it, but I didn't try.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. They haven't really come up. Well, they're not really meant to do that, anyways. Running two apps at once, sometimes it has an issue with that. At least my phone does. And when I do the show on it, I don't think I could pull Skype up at the same time as running the board and stuff like that. That's usually one of the main things why I have a problem with. I'm sure I probably could. I just haven't figured it out yet, I guess. So,
yeah.
There's supposed to be a way you can run two Bluetooth devices off of your phone at the same time, and I haven't. I saw something about it on YouTube. I just haven't figured it out yet, or tried to do it yet on my Android phone. The iPhone probably does it, especially the iPhone 10 probably is able to do that a little bit better. Have you been? I know what I wanted to ask you too. They're asking for RSS feeds or something like that for Apple TV now, through Spreaker, and I haven't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hadn't. I just came across that, and I thought, well, maybe some of the guys out there, gals, and they, I don't know if it's through, if you could do that through YouTube also. I know they have an app for that, but there's also, of course, YouTube.
Yeah, I was
TV
looking
and
for
everything.
a podcast app on there, and I didn't see one, but I made it. I have the Apple TV. I don't have the 4K one, the newest one, but
Right.
I use it all the time to watch YouTube.
Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Voice search. It's got this little tiny controller. It's pretty cool, and you can just do the Siri voice search.
Right.
Just say what the channel is or whatever, But the weird thing had happened, all of a sudden when they started to pay, YouTube's got like a premium where you pay to watch.
Yeah.
And also, I think YouTube Red, and also as a pay service.
Seems like everybody's coming out with something. It's hard to keep up with it.
I'm not going to be paying anything.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Anyway, every time I would voice, all of a sudden, every time I, voice something, it would take the word that I had and find something close to it that was paid, on either YouTube Premium or YouTube Red. And then it would say, to see this content, you can have like a 30-day free trial. And I'm like, no, I don't want no trial.
Well, if you do that, I know from experience, if you do that and you say, okay, 30-day free trial, no big deal. Make sure you go and cancel that after 30 days, because unless you want to get charged for it, because they get, well, I don't know about YouTube, but I mean, some of these places will get your some kind of credit card information or something like that where they can bill you. And if you don't call to cancel it, they'll hammer you.
Apple has mine.
Yeah. They hammer you, and they you never said anything. So
Apple has the most personal, what do you call it, credit cards in the world.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
More than any other company.
Yeah. It just seems like we're getting not slammed with this stuff, but there's so many new things, new gadgets, new bells and whistles, whatever, for, really all the I guess, social media, whatever. So many new things coming out. It's hard to keep up with them. I mean, we think about the last 3 months, they've been coming up with these new, like the YouTube Live, and of course Facebook had that where you can, live video stream, whatever you want to call it. Now, like I said, with they're wanting for Apple TV and this and that. There's so many new formats, I should say, or added formats that I don't know how anybody keeps up with it all. I guess, you just kind of pick what you want and that's it. But I was looking through trying to, get some of this done. It just, when you deal with, putting your videos up and everything, of course we usually go through Facebook or YouTube, but now you can put them up, anywhere. Now they're saying with the show, if you do podcast radio or what have you, there's ways to share it over to all these different formats. And some people just put the content on other, I guess, Instagram or whatever. You were telling us about that a couple shows ago, where you found our show on some format that I didn't even know existed.
That was on My Human Radio, where you can basically anything on AM and FM, you can just put the call letters or whatever in and
right,
listen to it over the internet. So some of the shows I had that I did listen to over in Alexandria. One of them I can't even hear it here.
Right.
I have to get about 10 miles away. I can start to hear it, but I just listen to it on the internet through my iPad or whatever, and it's perfect. So I just the other day I thought, what the heck? I saw a thing for podcasts, and I said, oh, see if we're on there, and typed it in, pop right up with our logo and everything.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just the applications alone for people that are into the outdoor hobbies or whatever, metal detecting or bottle hunting, whatever, pro prospecting. They can. There's ways of doing it so you can get your content if you're into that, making videos and what have you. There's so many different places you can put it now, or to put it up on I guess the web, as a to get people to listen to your show or watch your video or whatever. There's just more and more of that. Really helps out if that's what you're kind of into, or you're doing instructional kind of videos, or even the realty companies. That's what kind of, you were telling me about the realtors that were using podcast kind of radio to, put out there what, kind of houses they have for sale, this and that and the other thing. There's a lot of ways you can use this,
they do
this tool to do
Some
it.
of them my house, the guy that owned the Coldwell Banker, I guess it was,
Mm-hmm.
He'd actually done a video, inside and outside the house,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't try to hide anything.
Right.
So it was funny when I closed, and I came back outside after we got back to the house, and the lady that was helped me buy the house. We were sitting out there talking, and she went to get in her car, and I looked around, and I saw the guy that did the video in a Coldwell Banker SUV, So I walked over and introduced myself, and I said, I saw you on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a YouTube channel myself. And I said, I was kind of impressed because, you did a really good job, and everything, about the house was, you didn't show, you didn't hide anything, And I said, a lot of these people hide, like the inside of the house. They'll show the whole yard and the outside of the house, but then they don't show the inside of the house.
Right.
You basically walked around the house inside and out.
Yeah, that's good business. Good business.
I said, and so he was like, oh, really? And he goes, you got a YouTube channel? And I said, yeah, we kind of promote metal detectors we sell, and my friend does too, and, we got a radio show, and he goes, well, we've been thinking about, maybe doing a, podcast. I said, that's what we do. And so, I don't know if he is or not, but, I think with real estate is probably the visual is more important.
Yeah, well, Nick said on here, Nick's on chat, and he says, or they don't show you the house next door. It's kind of nice to see the next door neighbor. Is that, you know what I mean? You might be... Fences make good neighbors sometimes, so...
Yeah. Well, you definitely want to go and check the house in person before you decide.
Oh, yeah. we had actually got a house on online auction. But, you know, it was also, we knew it was a fixer-upper kind of thing. And, you know, they had good pictures and everything of it. But that was kind of nerve-wracking a little bit, you know, because, you know, we dealt with a title company and all that stuff here in St. Petersburg, Florida. But the company that was actually auctioning it off, that had the deed or whatever, they were in California. So, I mean, you know, you got to... You know, it was a reputable company, obviously, but, you know, it was just still nerve-wracking because, you know, 10, 15 years ago, you never were, you know, you didn't really do that. You know, all this stuff has come up more prominent or more often on the internet now than it ever has been. I mean, you know, they've been doing it for about, I think, 5 or 6 years at least, but it just seems like, you know, it wasn't that long ago where, you know, you just had to go to the title company, you had to go here, you know, you had to have a realtor and all that stuff, and a lot of paperwork, but they were able to take care of all that. We just did, you know, emails essentially, and then, you know, of course the you know, title company, everything. We you know, talked to them by phone and got everything done. Mm-hmm. We didn't have any problems, but of course you want to make sure who you're dealing with. But yeah, you know, working together even. You know, I was thinking that a lot of these guys that have, or guys and gals, whatever, you know, I just call everybody guys, but, you know, when you're doing something specific, like in metal detecting, and, you know, maybe somebody's, you know, just doing like hunt videos, or, you know, actual detecting videos, or instructional videos, or whatever, to work through each other, you know, promote each other, on the different topics, to get more visits, get to more people, get the information to more people. You know, like, I don't know, I'm just examples like Barbara and you and me and, you know, whoever, we promoted or mentioned each other on our Facebook pages, and you know, different things we're doing or things we're hunting, you know, or finding while we're out metal detecting or whatever, you know, we start sharing it around. That really seems to boost stuff even more because, of course, you know, now we're on theirs, and, you know, vice versa, and it goes to their friends. It's kind of like I don't know, it's a more appropriate way, I think, in some cases, instead of getting slammed with advertisements all the time. You know what I mean? To be able to work together, mm-hmm. and do it and keep the big dogs out of the picture, so to speak. But I wouldn't know how to really start doing that. But
I saw this interesting thing on this Instagram TV, mm-hmm. and a guy showed he was going to get 100,000 followers in 2 days. So he took he got an account, and I can't remember what he called it, but it was about fitness and exercise, and,
right.
So he picked, I think it was 9 videos that came off of other people's channels about it.
Right.
But he acknowledged them. You know, he acknowledged that it was from their channels and stuff.
Right.
And then he did a ad with the best of those videos. You know, like one girl was she was dancing around in circles with the weight over, like this huge weight over her head, and mm-hmm. All kinds of stunts and stuff, and made a short video and promoted it to each one of these channels that he'd done, and he picked channels that had, like, you know, 500,000 to several million followers.
Right.
And so I didn't watch the whole video, but after 24 hours, I think it was, he had 64,000 followers.
Wow. That's mind-blowing to me anyway.
So he said, anybody can do this if you get, you know, if you follow this thing. And I was like, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I've only been on it a week or so, and I've got about 6-7 videos, maybe. Some of them don't have very many views, but I've already got like 240 some views.
Right. Well, it's like what they did with YouTube and everything. You had to have 100, or 1,000 subscribers, and you had to have this and that, or you couldn't monetize. And to me, right now, I was telling Pauline, I said, something, it's a lot less headache with that, because I don't have the 1,000 subscribers, and I can put up what I want to, and they can't say, oh, well, you can't monetize and you can't do this because of whatever. It used to be, if you had any kind of music, you had to be real careful with music. Sometimes when I first started doing this, I'd put an intro music or whatever, just basic, short little things in front of my videos. And this has been like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But they would always, not always, but several times they flag you or whatever for content, the musical content, even though it didn't have anything to do, it was just simply just like a, opener. And, the content was what I was doing or what you were doing, whatever. And, I don't have to deal with that so much anymore because they couldn't use that threat of monetization because I don't want to do all that stuff anyways. But, I mean, if you have, like some of these guys have hundreds of thousands of people.
I think like YouTube has free music. You can go on a couple sites, and there's all kinds of free music. You don't have to pay for it. But I've seen videos where guys were saying that they covered a song and it didn't even sound all the way the same, but because the lyrics are the same,
right,
it was flagged automatically through a computer or whatever, or what they call bots.
Oh yeah. Well, I was trying to copy.
Or they blame it on the bots. Sometimes they blame it on the bots.
Yeah.
Like that, like flagging the Declaration of Independence on Facebook. They said a bot did it.
Yep. I found these people that do like covers. I think it was Scott. I'm trying to remember what he goes by now. I'm just gonna. It's shoot. I know his first name's Scott. Anyways, a couple of years ago, I just messaged him through YouTube. I said, hey, I like the music, the covers that you do, because he does cover music for all these different groups and stuff like that. And I said, would you mind if I use a couple of these, on my videos or whatever? I said, I'm not going to be, charging anybody any money or anything like that. And he's like, yeah, sure, man, go ahead. And, and I noticed on there at the time he hadn't done, a music video or whatever you want to call it in a while. He's like, use whatever you want. Usually if you just ask people, I mean, that's, unless you're asking some like major movie star or I don't know, group or something like that, of course they're not going to let you. But, as far as a person doing original songs and stuff, you're helping them out a little bit too. If they're doing an original song, if you like it and you want to put it in your video, most of the time, they probably tell you, yeah, because it just gets some more people looking at it or whatever, listening to it, and just make a note on your video or whatever you're doing and say, this is by so-and-so, and put their YouTube channel on there or whatever, Facebook page, if they're okay with it. You're helping them out a little bit and you're getting the music that you like or that you want to have on your video. It works out both ways, kind of helping each other out. So I do a lot more saving or the watch later on YouTube. I use that for like videos, metal detecting videos, whatever. Then I'm not going to have time to really watch that morning. Usually I get on the computer like an hour or two in the morning, and I'll put stuff over on that watch later list. But that goes for original songs. Sometimes you find a song somebody does, and maybe it's the only song you like. You put it on there, and at least you have it in your file or whatever on YouTube, and go back and watch it. I do that a lot with like the Hoover Boys and the Stealth Diggers and everything, because I don't have a ton of time to watch everything. So I always try to put some of the videos in there, and that way I come back to them. You can find them again. That's my biggest thing, is trying to find the silly thing again. Because usually on YouTube you can come across stuff when you're watching one video. You'll see on the right hand side or other videos done by other people or whatever, and I forever cannot remember the names of the videos to go back later and watch them. So I just save them, save them under that watch later icon. And I did find out too on YouTube. You can go to YouTube. I think it's YouTube Downloader, and if you find music that you like, you can actually put I think it's a URL for the video on that YouTube Downloader. A screen will come up, and you just paste it right there, and you can actually download an MP3 from that video. So you can have it right on your desktop.
I heard you can do it in a couple different formats.
Yeah, it's really easy. I did it actually a couple of songs I like that you can't, I could, it's not current stuff. This is older stuff. And I said, oh man, I've heard that song a long time ago. I haven't been able to find it. And of course I'll do that. I'll just put it right on my desktop, and that way I can, I have a little file of music and stuff that I like to listen to. And so it was kind of nice to be able to figure that out. It was a real easy deal. Just put, YouTube Downloader, and you can, put that in the search, and then you just copy and paste the URL onto it, and it will automatically save it to your computer, download it to your computer. So, you always have it. Because I've had that happen too, where people close their accounts or whatever, and, I've put their stuff on a watch later list, and all of a sudden it's gone. So, if there's, or listen to later, whatever, you can, I think it'll let you do MP4s too. Not only MP3s, they'll let you do videos like that too, I believe. I'll have to look at that again before I kind of go on and tell you can do that. But I believe you could do the same thing with a video. And I thought about, backing up that way, because I was trying to figure out how to get my stuff off of YouTube, so that I could put it onto my computer and then put it onto a hard drive. And, whether it be photo, like a slideshow that I put on there or whatever it finds. Because I did several of those, just people, that I know, Craig knows, whatever, they'd send photos, email them or whatever, and I was saving them on my computer because I wanted to put something together at the end of the year, like a year-end, whatever, everything everybody found. And, you don't want to lose that information, so, because it's kind of neat to look back on that and see what everybody was finding, throughout the year. So you can actually save it to your computer, and that way you always have it in case somebody decides to close down your YouTube channels. I haven't heard a lot of that going on. I know it's kind of like Facebook right now. It's like I'm on it, I check it out, obviously, and everything. And really the only things in the last week I've really looked at are from, people that we know, like if Barbara put something up, or, Mark Hoover or whatever, of course I'll go and check it out because I'll get a notification for it. But I noticed that the spammers, or whatever you want to call them, it was not as bad this week for me as it had been a couple weeks before, as far as getting these notifications, friend requests or whatever. I've been marking a lot of them spam. I don't even know what part of the world they're in. I can't even pronounce the names of some of the countries, but it happens here. People in the U.S. too doing it. But I try to weed that out, or try to figure out which ones are legit and which ones aren't. Kind of like what you do. If I click on their name and their page comes up, and I start seeing relics, or like coins they found or whatever, some kind of reference to metal detecting, whatever. Of course, I'll friend request, no problem. But if I don't see anything, or anything that has to do with like an outdoor, adventure kind of thing, I just kind of mark them as spam and go. That's about the only way I figured out how to do it. My phone is still blowing up all the time, but that's the notification on my cell phone. I guess I don't know how to turn that off, but still get the ones from the people that liked our channel or following us, if that makes sense, Craig. I don't even know if there's an adjustment for that on the cell phone itself, so I don't keep on getting pounded by people that I don't even know, that I'm not even subscribed to their channels and stuff. You know what I mean? There has to be some kind of a thing. I'm just not, these smart.
You can turn off. There's a little bell if you're on YouTube,
right,
next to the subscribing, and if you click the bell, it'll give you a notification, and you can also click it off.
Okay. Well, would that stop my friends from me seeing the stuff my friends post though? Like other people that were subscribed.
No,
to
I'm talking about somebody else's channel.
Oh, okay.
You can stop them. Stop notifications every time they get a video.
It'd take me hours to do that probably. There's just that.
Normally, I don't get everybody's notifications. Usually I just get the ones that I watch regularly.
Okay,
or maybe I watched it the week before and the guy came out with another video, and they'll give me a notification. But if I don't watch it, then I probably won't get one the next time or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, see, we have a Gavin McGregor on the chat right there. He's saying good morning, all. So he obviously in a different time zone as us. So welcome to the show. Of course, Barbara's on here, and we have Nick Haas on here, and Ohio Relic Hunter's on the phone. I think maybe he's off by now. He was talking to somebody, probably Mark Hoover, on the phone. But yeah, there's all those little gadgets they have, and trying to figure out. I just don't want to miss something from a friend. I don't mind. Anybody can send me whatever, or on Facebook or whatever for, video that they did or show or information about a hunt or, I don't mind that stuff at all. I mean, that's what we're all about. But the ones that have nothing to do with metal detecting, in other words, the spammers, I just don't want to deal with them. I don't know if there's a way to really single them out that way, but except individually, like you're talking about, Craig. But I guess it should have one under just friends. You know what I mean? Friends of your channel, friends of whatever.
Yeah.
That's the one I need to find and do that. Because I literally, I had it was actually a shotgun blast, when somebody sent a message, the sound effects on the phone. And I
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, it sounds like a shotgun, a pump shotgun, bang, Well, I turned my phone on. I turned my phone off last night. I turned my phone on this morning, and it would sound like a World War III going. I was just bang, 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 bang. And Pauline said, "What's going on?" I said, "I think I'm getting shot. Yeah, I'm getting hammered." Yeah, it'll get you. I had to turn off the sound on the phone. But I just know. Normally, I don't pay much attention to the phone during the day anyways, other than a phone call ringing in. And somebody will tell me, "Well, I sent you a message." I said, "Yeah, I don't." I used to carry my cell phone all the time. I mean, it was on me everywhere I went, and it just became, of course, you're going outside to work on something or going out metal detecting or something like that. I don't know. I'm really hard on technology like that, and it'll never fail. I'll put it in my pocket or something like that, or it'll fall out of my pocket, and then I'm having my buddy call my cell phone so I can find my cell phone in the field. You know what I mean? Something like that. So I don't know. I just stopped carrying it. I know years ago, well, really wasn't that long ago, where cell phones were really messing with detectors. I think Tom Bunch ran into that when it was real unstable and everything. He had his cell phone in his back pocket or in his front pocket, whatever. And every time he got a text message, it would really start falsing the detector. So, and when he put the cell phone away, of course, when he did, he finds something good and have to go all the way back to the car to get his cell phone and bring it back and to get a picture of it. You know what I mean? So I try not to carry mine as much, when I'm driving or something's different, I just put it on the seat, but I just turn off the notifications a lot of times, except for the ringer. It just becomes crazy after a while for me anyways. Like Craig, I don't know, you seem to pick up like at the first ring every time. You're like the most, conscientious phone answerer in the world. You know what I mean? That phone rings once and man, Craig's there. It's like he's right there by the phone all the time. I can't do that anymore. Well, you have your watch too, right? It'll tell you on your watch when somebody's calling.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably why that happens. Craig doesn't answer me, I'm starting to worry because usually he's right there. But yeah, I didn't get out today hunting. Chaos ensued first thing in this morning, and it's just kind of aggravating. But I'm looking at, I'm hoping to get out Monday morning early. Regardless, I told Pauline, I said, don't even plan nothing. Anybody calls for me, I'm going hunting on Monday, and I might hunt for 2 hours, 3 hours. It might hunt all day. I haven't been out, and I'm itching to get out there. I haven't looked at the weather forecast, but I saw a hurricane coming. I think it's pretty far off yet, but. It'll be my luck. I'll get everything loaded up and it'll start raining on me again. It seems like it's been a year of that. Every time I try to get out there, either I get out there and it starts dumping rain or whatever. I know you've had the same problem, Craig. It's just like every time you turn around to go and really plan to go out on a detecting trip or whatever, it hammers you. Well, you got 8.5 inches of rain. How'd that fare for you the other day?
Yeah, Mike couldn't cut the grass for a few days, and then the right bottom section of the yard was just, it took 3 days to dry out. I mean, there was like a stream running across from the other property right across that area, and I had a video of it on I think I put it on Facebook and Instagram, and you could actually see the water, going across.
I didn't see it. I have to look at it. How's your furnace? So you said your furnace got hit, or whatever, not hit, but flooded. Is it okay?
Yeah, I got flooded. Brand new one.
Oh God!
And so I just paid $12.80 for the thing.
Jesus, you're not able to save it.
And oh yeah, I went in there, and there's a pan that goes around the bottom, and it was like, I don't know, 5 inches high in water.
Oh my God!
So I just pulled the plug, and most of the water came out. And so then I put a fan in there, big square fan, like you put in a window. And I ran that for 2 days, and then we tried it, and it turned right on the first time.
Good, awesome, brother. That's a nightmare when you start having those problems and stuff getting flooded out.
Yesterday I had the inspection. I thought I was going to have to pay $56 because I saw this thing, but the people that contract, well, I got it from Home Depot, and then they have a contractor, Fairfax Plumbing, I guess it's called, and then they pay the fee.
Good.
And it comes out of my thing. So anyway, I brought the guy around the backyard, and he's an older guy, probably about my age, maybe a little younger, and so we're going toward I don't have a stairs down to the basement from inside the house. You have to go around the back and then open the door and go in.
All right.
Kind of an unfinished basement, but anyway, I'm taking him, down, and he looks down, and there's a table. We have a table, and we have all this iron junk and stuff and broken bottles, all, laying on the table. And he goes, "Somebody's been digging around here."
Yeah. Another detectorist.
Yeah. I said, yeah, we metal detect a lot, me and my friend. And I said, a lot of people around here do. And I said, you ever done any? He goes, no, but I know people that do. And he said, I always thought about it, but never had the time.
I've got stuff stashed everywhere, it seems like, man. I the same way, you got that table, and I got, like the old aluminum truck boxes that fit in the back of a pickup truck. I got those sitting on like blocks on the side, in the back of the shed right there. And that's where I put a lot of my, the metal items or whatever that I want to clean up or whatever when I have time. And, like the fireman's wrench I found and the D-shackle and all this iron. Pauline looked in there. She goes, "My God, you must have about 2,000 pounds of iron in there." It's a ton of stuff. I said, "Well, I want to keep this stuff. I want to, like what Aqua Trigger was doing with the paraffin, to keep it from rusting anymore, or trying the molasses thing like you did with the trigger guard, just to clean it up to preserve it a little bit." But what do you do with the stuff? I mean, I darn sure don't leave it on the ground, because my wife, anything she can get a lawnmower over, it gets mowed. And that's what happened on my hot rock. I left it in my little test area that I was starting a new test area, and she hit that thing and just shattered that rock. I mean, it was 3 inches thick and about, we'll say 3 by 3 anyways. But she hit that thing with the mower, and man, it blasted it apart. Stuff went flying, heard it hitting the roof and everything else. And I says, a 38-pound D-shackle might rip up my lawnmower pretty good, so I better put this up, type thing. But that's her rule. She can get the lawnmower over it, it gets mowed. So tree stumps all have to be a foot high, so she doesn't try to run them over. I think it's kind of comical, other than when I'm standing within 35 feet of the lawnmower, because it never fails. She'll run over something, and it comes right at me. I think she's trying to take me out is what it is, and, that way she don't get caught. I got scars to prove it, Craig. So she hit that fire brick or whatever, that, like heavy-duty red brick, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and I still got this. It's going to scar big time on my ribs, and it come right out of that lawnmower, and it flew. It had to have been about 30 feet, 40 feet, and it just, thank God the big chunk of it didn't come at me, because there was like about 4 inches of that brick flew by my head. The rest of it got me in the rib cage and the arm, the shattered part of it, and it was bad enough just with that. She goes, I just looked at her, she goes, "See, told you better pick up the yard next time." So I don't leave any metal laying around. Put it that way. But yeah, I have it stashed everywhere now. It seems like I guess get it all in one location. Then all the recycling bins too that I have, and I just kind of, if you find copper or brass and it's nothing, you find out it's nothing. I just throw it in there to recycle it rather than throw it in the garbage can. At least you get a little bit gas money or whatever out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And try to repurpose.
Yeah, we kind of just throw most of the garbage we find on this kind of like a small wooden table, round table, and kind of like a, I don't know, kind of, for outdoor, like a pool table, for when you have a pool outside or something.
Right.
But, just covered, with all kinds of junk and hot shards and all kinds of stuff. And
it's amazing.
I keep picking through it and taking the small stuff and throwing it in the trash can.
Right.
And getting rid of it. But eventually we're going to have to take some of the stuff to the dump probably.
You're going to have to buy a pickup truck. You got to buy a pickup truck. I know like Nugget Nog, and I remember his back of his pickup truck and the Stealth Digger. They just throw all the stuff in the back of the truck. And I think I saw it was Nugget Noggin was at, oh God, I can't remember where he was at. But in most of his videos, he showed at the end, all you see is metal and all this stuff in the back of his truck. It's all from metal detecting mostly, I think. And that's the way my truck looks too. I mean, even now I got stuff, just thrown in a milk crate in the back of the truck. I still haven't taken it out. I went out in that field a couple days ago, and I was walking along the fence line, and they have like I must say it's a 5-gallon bucket. It's probably like a 4-gallon plastic bucket, and the thing was full of old nails, like bent nails, whatever. I don't know what the heck it's doing out there like that, but they never took it. But I went to pick it up, and the sun just beat on it so much that the doggone handle started cracking the bucket. I don't know. I guess I'm just going to have to go out there with something else and or at least get it into something so that they can do what they want with it. Think if that thing breaks open, man, all those tractor tires and everything, when they start doing the field or planting the field or whatever, all those holes in the tires, with a bunch of these old spikes and stuff like that. I guess I'll just throw it in another bucket, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I came across that in the weeds and right by, it's by about 4 foot from the fence line, so it's right along where they'd mow at. I couldn't imagine hitting a bucket of nails with a brush hog. It'd be a bad deal there anyways, but never know what you're going to find in the field, man. I tell you, weirdest stuff. The brass pipe pieces I was finding, these little brass pipes. I don't know. I still don't know what they are. I guess I put a picture of them up on there. Maybe somebody recognize them, tell me what they're for. It's probably for some kind of a farming equipment, I would think. But it just looks really, really old. Like a tractor from I'm going to say like the 40s or 50s, maybe earlier. I guess I got to look at some pictures of some engines and stuff. These little, I think it's maybe diesel, the injector ports or something like that on these old tractors. It's like pieces about 2 or 3 inches long tops, and they're probably 1/4 inch. They're not real thick pipe. It's all brass. It's the only thing I could think of that they use brass on a other than because most of them are like cast iron or whatever the blocks on them or whatever, the old tractors. So maybe that's what I found. I don't know. You got to keep it. That's what I hate. You got to keep the stuff if you don't know what it is, because it very well could be something, really neat. And if you throw it out, you're going to come back 2 years later and say, oh, that's what that was, and I threw it away. So we've all done that at some time or another, I think. Get rid of something and realize, oh, we had something good. Kind of like those company letters you found, Craig. You didn't even know what they were, and so you started unfolding it a little bit, and, oh, it's a company letter G or whatever. From the, was it Bristol?
Yeah, it was funny. One time I was in Stafford County and years ago, and we were way back in this area, and we found a few things on there, and then we walked about a mile and got near this creek, and it was like this like real flat area. Man, that looks good. That's where soldiers would hang out, and
yeah.
So I walked down there, and I guess it might have been hunted before, but I got this signal, and I thought it dug a company letter C, and I guess I walked, I started gridding the thing, and I got I got maybe, I don't know, 80, 90 feet away, and I got another signal, and I dug the part that the little slant part that went over that made the C into a G.
Oh, okay.
So then, years later, I, found this folded up company letter G, and I was actually able to unfold it. And,
right.
I got that with a Deus, and then I came back the next day and hunted with the Bliss tool, and I got a bunch of bullets and stuff that, I didn't hear with the Deus, and then I got this breastplate down like 16 inches deep.
Mm-hmm.
But that was pretty funny. I've company letters probably don't read real good. They probably read, maybe in the tinfoil range. But there's small ones too. I've dug, little tiny A's. Remember, I'll have to look and see the different ones I've got. I think J is probably the last. A through J is about the limit to how many company letters you would find. I don't think they go past. I don't think you ever find it. Well, no, I'm sorry, K.
Yeah.
K, I think, is the last one. I found a broken K.
I've never found any company letters at all. I guess the only thing I found that was kind of in the same realm as that is that poppy pen. It was copper, and it was all folded up, and I was able to unfold it. I just thought it was a piece of junk. I mean, you really don't, until you you don't want to unfold them if you can help it, because it could break. Like, the spoons and stuff, the baby spoons will just snap off because they're so old. But yeah, if you got something there, I didn't even know what it was. I just gently opened it up. I said, oh my God, I didn't even know what it was at first until I brought it home. Pauline told me, because her, she knew from years ago, back in the 20s, they'd make them out of copper. Sometimes,
there's a Jeff Davis hat pin, but it's actually Yankee. The
really?
Yankees wore.
Huh.
But I think Jeff Davis was in the War Department. He might have invented the thing or something. I can't remember the whole details to it. But I found one that, when I first started metal detecting at this near this picnic table, and it turned out that there was a camp near, like about maybe 50 yards away. We found, a ton of bullets and stuff.
Right.
And, I dug this thing up, and I was like, what the heck is this? So I showed it to somebody. Oh my God, it's a Jeff Davis hat. And I was like, really? And it has an eagle on it and stuff. And I think I've found two of them over the years, but they're not easy to find either.
Right.
I've also found cross sabers. I found cross cannon.
Right.
I found a cross cannon in the water, and it was almost shiny, because it was in the muck and didn't get any corrosion on it.
That's pretty cool.
What else? Like the cross sabers was like cavalry hat pin. I found one that was folded in half. It was broken, but the two pieces were there, and I was able to kind of fit it together.
Right.
And I talked to a guy, and he said that when this camp was first found, they were digging up. Like one guy had a Slurpee cup about a quarter full of pieces from these cross sabers.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was asking me if I ever found any pieces, and I said, oh yeah, I found pieces. And he goes, do you, I'd like to, did you give them to me? And I'm like, nah, I'm not giving them. I don't want to sell them either. I'm keeping them.
Yep.
And he goes, darn, I glue them back together and make, I can do it so it looks like it's a brand new one. I was like, oh man, that's funny.
Yeah, I wish I had time for that stuff. I mean, you guys, the wintertime is down here. We don't really have a season that I guess the summertime is the only time I could think of that we would really kind of not go out hunting, have that time. Up north you get snowed in, you can't do anything. And, as far as, going out metal detecting, usually you can sit there and clean stuff and organize and put in, whatever. You can find things to do that that are involved in the hobby and stuff. Down here, we kind of work year round. We're always out there doing something. And the wintertime here, that's when we do a lot of the heavy, like cutting trees and all that kind of stuff. So we don't really have a time of year other than the summertime when it's really hot to take that extra time to do it. But as I told Pauline, I said we don't. What's that?
There's another hat pin called it's basically a bugle hat pin, and it's shaped like a bugle for the infantry.
Right.
I found a few of those. The trouble is a lot of them are broken because it's really thin brass, like paper almost.
Yeah, brass. Okay, brass, not copper. Okay. I wasn't sure how much they were making out of copper or how much they're making out of brass.
No, I've never seen much copper.
Right.
The only thing you'll see is, Indian head pennies, or you'll see large cents maybe that are copper.
Right.
But most of the items are either brass or lead.
Right. That must be what I'm finding too. Is their brass, like that poppy pin, must be made out of brass and not copper. I don't know. They use copper in the 20s a lot, but to make certain things. But
in the old days, they made a lot of, like all those brooches and stuff you find. Most of them are brass instead of copper.
Right. And that's what kind of that one. I guess.
Well, it's one thing you can read it on the meter, and the brass reads low compared to copper.
Well, yeah. Be using
real low.
Using the bliss tool, I just knew it was a copper or brass. I can't really tell a difference between the two with the nuance of it.
I know. I'm the same way.
It's too close in sound or too close in nuance for me to tell.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm some of the tones or the pitches I can't hear. I'm getting old, my ears are going, but yeah. I found that cigarette pack, that Lucky Strike. I'm pretty sure that's copper because it's so soft. It's not aluminum or nothing, but I found that several years ago. It's a Lucky Strike cigarette pack, but it's copper, real thin. And somebody was telling me when they made them. It's been a while ago. I probably have to dig that thing out. It's pretty well toast, but you can see Lucky Strike on it and everything, and it's smaller, like the small filterless kind of cigarettes, back in the day, kind of like the Camel. The Camels were unfiltered and everything. I found one of those, the only one I've ever found. I didn't even know they made like that kind of a pack. Or it may have been a special thing or whatever they put out for a little while. A lot of these, some of you guys probably deal with the Copenhagen lids and the Skoal lids, from the snuff or, chewing tobacco. You used to find those at a couple of places just all over the place. And now they make a lot of this stuff out of plastic now. So, at least we won't deal with that part of it, right? So, be like pull tabs. And, I still find pull tabs, the old-fashioned pull, literally pull tabs here on my property all the time. It's where they had a drinking party here underneath the trees everywhere in Florida. Found a big tree, they drinking beer under it, or soda, whatever. Old Milwaukee. So those probably mess with you too, don't they, Craig? Because those like the company letters and stuff like that, they're so thin and small. Like you said, it reads up as like aluminum foil. And it probably yeah. Yeah, it'd be. I'm surprised you don't get a lot more.
Probably nickel at the most, but most of them I've dug were with were 9-meter machines. They didn't have a meter, so I just got a beep and dug them. But that's one thing when you're metal detecting a relic site. The meter is pretty much worthless, unless you're going to cherry pick for coins or something.
Oh yeah.
Some of these pewter buttons read way down. It's incredibly low,
Yeah, why is it? Because isn't pewter like a mix of silver and something else? Or am I wrong on that?
No, it's lead and something. What is it? Remember.
Yeah, it's weird. It's lighter. You found that musket ball that was made out of pewter, didn't you?
Yeah,
a pewter musket ball.
And I said, this is crazy. This is definitely a musket ball, and it's pewter.
Yeah.
And about a year later, I was reading a book about the Revolutionary War, and it showed John Adams' wife and somebody else, and they were melting pewter candlesticks to make musket balls because they didn't have any lead. And I thought, dang, that's pretty cool, that because it was it was basically a 50 caliber, pewter bullet, and they're kind of heavy actually.
I find pewter.
I think the last one I found, I think it was 2004. I'd hunted this site, and it was near a Georgia camp, and it was just, I found, I think 4 Georgias there and a South Carolina, maybe 2 South Carolinas. But I found, I think, a 3-cent piece, a flying eagle, a couple Indian head pennies, and a lot of round balls. They had bucking balls, so you found like 3 buck balls with a round ball.
Yeah.
And they were poor Georgia troops. It was the 18th Georgia, and they were part of the Texas Brigade.
Right.
There's 3 Texas regiments in this Georgia group. But anyway, they bulldozed down below it, and all around it in the swamp. And just going into the swamp one day, the first hour, I found this pewter musket ball, and then I hunted the rest of the day and didn't find a thing. I mean, not even shotgun shells or anything.
Yeah.
And so I decided, it's getting dark, it's getting ready to get dark, so I'll just head back to the truck or to the car. And so I start up the hill, and I noticed there's this site that just got it was just pile of the week before, it was just a pile of trees that they bulldozed into a pile. Well, they'd taken them away. And I thought, man, I'll have to check that.
Right.
I didn't swing 5 times over that, and I got this quarter signal. I was using the Explorer, and I got this high tone, and I said, oh my God, that's a silver quarter signal. And I was thinking it was going to be like a bus quarter or something, because I'd heard of a guy finding a bus half dime up further up the hill.
Right.
And so I dig down about 8 or 9 inches, and I pop this almost mint condition 1723 2 Real Pistarine, and I was like, oh my God! I didn't even know what it was, at the time, and then I recognized that. I said, oh, those are what those little cut coins I find are cut from.
Right.
And I dug one that was almost blank years ago. I dug 3 2 Reals. I got 2. I got one 1779 and one 1776, and then I got this one that was blank. And later on, I actually got a loop and was looking at it, and I could actually see the rings around it, and I could tell it was a Pistarine. And so it must have been still in circulation, in probably around 1800.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, because the 1779 was in fine condition, according to this one coin dealer. But he wanted to buy it. He wanted to buy the 1776, even though it had a hole drilled through it because of the... I said, there's no way.
Yeah. Some things are just not for sale.
No.
I sold that, I didn't really sell it. The guy gave me money for it anyways, but pretty much donated it, but he wanted to pay me something for it. It was that our Colored Heroes medal, and I know it went to a good home, so to speak, but I'm still kind of, I don't know, it's not something I'll ever find again. That's what really gets me is, it's some things you find, you're probably never going to find another one like it. And that's the way that Colored Heroes medal was, because, there's only 75 known to be, or given out, and only five that I could ever find on the internet or photos that were known to exist anymore. So it's like, okay, it went to a good home. It's being, seen by other people. That's great, but dang, I'll never find another one of those probably. So I hate selling anything, just kind of, I take my clad in and stuff. I know you're the same way, Craig. You'll take, eventually take your clad in and stuff, but all the bullets you have and all that stuff you probably never get rid of. I mean, we pretty much keep everything.
I put them away, people, can I have a bullet, And I said, sure, these aren't haters, these are just normal people, and I've actually gotten into some sites where, people said, oh, I got a neighbor that'll probably let you hunt, and stuff like that. So you never know. But I got, I don't know how many thousands of bullets I got. I mean, I literally dug thousands of bullets. I mean,
you have a ton of them out of that. Well, literally, you had to carry them out of the carriage house in coffee cans. I remember that.
I sit there and I go, God, I haven't seen that button, or I haven't seen that thing in 10 years, 15, 20 years sometimes.
Right.
I just got all this stuff tucked away. And it's like when I moved up here, that's when I started looking at some of the stuff again. I hadn't seen, I hadn't really looked at it in years. And it's kind of funny. You go, wow, this thing is in a lot better shape, because I know more about all this stuff now than I did back then.
Right.
Because of the internet. But
I was going to say, I remember a guy that, and I can't remember where I saw this at. Maybe one of you guys out there remember it. There was a guy that made his either his walkway by his front door or something like that. It was all in pennies, and he essentially laid the pennies all down and poured something. I must say it's polyurethane or something like that, but I don't think it was that. And you could see through it. And he lined these things all up and poured that over top of it, and it's self-leveling, and that's what he used for, to decorate the floor. I don't know. But they were all in this, on the floor, and they have a layer over top. You could do the same thing with like countertops and stuff to make a inset, and you put, the items in there. Of course, you're never going to, well, I guess you could get them out of there eventually if you wanted to, but, I mean, what are you going to do with a bunch of wheat pennies, unless they're key dates or something like that? But it's a way of displaying stuff and having as a piece of furniture too. It'd be kind of neat. I do a lot with even the shotgun shells. We find a bunch of 12 Georges or 12 Georges, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I can't even think straight anymore today. Oh gosh, I've been wanting to get out to that site out there, and
I had to drink 2 cups of coffee after I had 3.5 hour drive today, going back and forth from Alexandria, the People's Republic of Alexandria.
I'm drinking mud right now too. It's a beverage of my choice tonight. Is like supercharged coffee. I've been going all day long and haven't really accomplished anything really. But I wanted to get out there and hunt today because the more I think about it, Craig, it's just driving me crazy not to put a coil out there. I have to do it at certain times whenever the guy's there, and I can hunt back here in this pasture, no problem. But as far as going to where the toll bridge was, of course, I can't even get it in the gate there. They got it all locked down, but they want to be there when I'm there, which is cool. But I've gotten so used to over the years, pretty much just going. Because I have permissions on open sites, or so to speak. I can just go and hunt, and then you got to be the guy said, well, I'll be there on Saturday or I'll be there on Tuesday, and I it's like. Dang, and I got to work my schedule around a little bit, and it never works for me. This last 6 months has been absolutely horrible about, as far as when I want to get out hunting, there's always 20 other things to do. And I'm just going to take a month off and do nothing but metal detect. I think I said that last show too. I'm ready to do that. Solid month. You won't, all we'll do is the radio shows. I won't even come home. I'll just stay out in the field and just hunt. I got it bad, Craig. The addiction is getting to me.
I was going to hunt yesterday, but it was so humid. I was like, God. I was out there just picking up sticks out in the yard. And my whole head was soaking wet.
I don't even
Mike
care
went out
anymore.
For, I guess, about an hour and a half, and he got 2 nice bottles. One was probably about a 19, probably from the teens Coke bottle, real heavy glass, and I think it was from Martinsburg, West Virginia.
Yeah, that's what you were saying earlier.
Yeah. So I think he's up to close to 75 bottles he's found in there.
Man, he's turning to be one heck of a bottle hunter, I'll tell you that much. He has the patience for it. That's, Yeah, well, I think, Craig, you're just like me. If I come across bottles when I'm metal detecting, dig a target and find a bottle, yeah, I'm into it. Then I've had days where a metal detecting trip turned out to be a bottle hunt for like 4 hours because you just start digging bottle after bottle. But I don't actively go looking for bottles. Well, if I see some glass.
Yeah, I got into it early on, and I think I dug it's either 11 or 14 bottles. In fact, one of the Coke bottles I dug was almost like the one that Mike dug, but it was the same company but from a different location. But anyway, I got kind of, after you dig for 2 hours and all you find is broken bottles, you start going,
Yeah,
Mike's got more patience than I do on that. I just lost patience on it. I can metal detect all day long and not find anything, and it doesn't really bother me that much.
Yeah, I can't spend all my time on one hole.
I'm just looking for that. My main thing is look one good thing.
Right.
If I can find one good thing, that's good enough. But I've been to some sites a few times. I've been skunked a few times.
Oh,
Very rarely, though, did I ever get skunked, going for Civil War stuff, where I knew there was camps and stuff. I could always find something.
Yeah, you did. Even when we hunted,
it got so where you wouldn't find bullets, but you'd find buttons, and I'd rather have buttons anyway.
Yeah, it seems like about the same with me. I mean, I get skunked once in a while, but I always find something, but it may not be the arrow that I'm looking for, but. I guess if I find clad and it's all I find, I guess it's okay. But
or you find goodies for me.
Oh, then my wife's over here saying if you find goodies for me, which means anything that can be welded or put together somehow for art, my wife wants it. So this is the reason my pickup truck is filled with metal and everywhere else. I told him earlier, Pauline, that I don't put anything in the yard anymore because anything you get a tractor over, you mow. So I don't want any 38-pound D shackles flying at me. She'd find a way to get the lawnmower over it. But on the other aspect of that is our yard usually looks pretty good. She mows it very well. So she loves to mow. I mean, you could put her on a lawnmower. She'd mow your lawn for free, Craig. She wouldn't care. As long as it's a riding mower, she doesn't care. She'd mow all day long. So
I'm lucky. Mike does all the mowing and trimming.
Yeah.
So
one of our friends there.
He gets exercise from it, and stuff. So I said, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, one of our friends, they went out and bought a push mower. They have a small yard, but like a quarter acre, and they bought a push mower and a weed whip. I'd been mowing their lawn for them. You just go over there and mow it real fast, but. They bought it, and the son is I think he's 11 years old, and he thought it was the greatest thing. He's out there mowing the lawn and everything. He comes in and goes, Mom, and he said, I love this. I'll do this all the time. And, every time we have to mow, it's really cool. That lasted one time when he had to wake up at, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning and mow the lawn because it gets so hot down here. So, yeah, it lasted one time. But, when you're at 10 or 11, 12 years old, anything with wheels and a motor, you're gonna want to use it, But he didn't last very long. That heat hit, the humidity and everything. He's like, nope, Mom, I'm done. So I thought at least you got one good lawn mowing out of him.
I saw this crazy thing on, I think it was Facebook, and this 11-year-old black kid was started his own lawnmower business, and he had a couple, I think, neighbors or friends helping, and so he was mowing his yard, and he accidentally mowed a one little strip on his neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
And they called the police on him.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
So when the police came there, they were like, God, give us a break. The kid's actually,
trying to do something good.
His own business,
right.
And your yard needs cutting anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess some other neighbors, wondered what was going on, and the kids were all upset, they were really upset, that this people called the police on them. So it ended up that the news people got, word of it, and they interviewed the kid, and so the next thing you know, all these people start calling the kid, to mow their lawn. So now he's got like more business than he can handle.
That's
so
awesome.
He's recruiting all these kids in the neighborhood now.
Good.
I thought, that's a good story because, here's somebody screws you or messes with you, and then it ends up turning out better than you ever thought, because people say,
some people are jerks.
It's
man.
like
they just jerks. They have nothing else better to do with their life.
I remember early on,
do that.
This kid had his own lawnmower business, and he sent a letter to Trump, said he would cut the lawn for free at the White House if he would let him.
Yep.
Like the Rose Garden.
Right.
And so Trump invited him and his father to the house, and the kid, and Trump was out there on the lawn, inspecting it and everything.
Yep.
And says, man, this kid did a great job. And he goes, I can see in about, when this kid graduates from college, because I know he's already smart,
right,
definitely go to college and stuff. He'll own some big business eventually,
Oh yeah,
because that's the kind of kid he is, and so he got a whole bunch of business too. I think he's in Arlington, Virginia.
Yeah,
and
I'll tell you, it shows good responsibility and everything, man. They're wanting to, even my kids. I mean, they get out there, they want to make money, and they do a good job. I can't believe a neighbor had a fit about that. I've had that. I think everybody has had a situation where you're dealing with a neighbor. You really can't. You don't want to make it any worse. But man, there's been a couple of neighbors in the past I wanted to choke out when we put a fence up one time, and the guy was so, oh, you're like an inch over the property line, and I'm like, so what? It's a fence, dude. I mean, it's a nice fence. It's not, I'm an inch over. I moved it back right then because I knew I was just setting it up, and I usually run a string line or whatever, make sure I do it. And he was having a fit from the get go. I'm like, God, man, come on, give me a break. I'm trying to do something, keep properties looking nice and everything else. My new neighbor over here, he goes, well, what's the code on this and what's the code on that, and can I do this? I said, well, yeah, for the most part, I know you can. You want to check with code enforcement because, of course, that's a moneymaker for the the county or whatever. They're going to, if they find out something wrong, they can fine you and everything else. And he goes, well, you've had a lot of problems in the past. I said, well, no, I had one. Well, the guy that actually owned the house before him called like 36 times on me, and I've never been cited with anything. He sees me digging a hole. He thinks I'm putting a septic in or something. I don't know. I'm out there metal detecting in my own yard, and I'm digging a hole. It's my yard, but I dig a plug out, get the target out, throw the dirt back in. At the time, I really didn't care because we were just getting everything done, as far as getting it, leveled out and everything with a skid steer and everything, and we're going to plant grass. And he was having a fit about that. He called 36 times or something on me, and they finally told him they're going to fine him. If there's nothing wrong with my place, they're going to fine him for a false call and everything. And the new neighbor now that has the house, he goes, well, there's nobody around here that's going to do that to me. I said, look, dude, I don't care if you blow up your house. As long as your house doesn't land on mine, we're golden. You know what I mean? I don't care what you do, as long as it doesn't affect me at all. And finally he's like, okay, well, fine, I'll check that out. I'm just glad you're not one of those neighbors that call in all the time. I said, I could care less what you do, as long as it doesn't affect my property. I really don't care. And that's the way I think.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just common courtesy. I don't know. Things are an improvement. If they're making an improvement, it's going to look nicer in the neighborhood anyways. Why would you fuss at somebody for doing, like the kid mowing the lawn? I mean, he's doing a good job. He's making a little money. You're going to fuss at him for taking one strip off your, I'm sorry. I don't know. It seems petty to me, especially with a kid, because the kid's just trying to do a good job. So, I don't know. Maybe the guy had a bad day that day. But I think he's probably going to get annoyed about all the lawnmowers all around the neighborhood going at the same time. Yeah. Things that people do. But
the other day I was at we had the parade for 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Did I mention that on the other show?
I think you did. It got kind of rained out on you, I guess. And
yeah, I met this one lady. She was out there swinging her arm back and forth. She goes, I've seen you do this. I was like, And I'd never met her before, and she lives behind us, but you can't. They have like a big fence up and stuff, and it's funny. I don't know if it's her or the people next to her. It's like they got 3 kids, and those kids are doing yard work and all kinds of stuff every day.
Mm-hmm.
The parents have them, doing chores, and I think they're homeschooled. But they got this massive pool. It's probably 8 feet. It's like it sits up in the yard. It's not down in the ground. But it's got a deck around it, and they sit up there. They got like sofas along one side. The whole family can sit up there, and they're all looking over there. One day I thought, man, I got this weird feeling, and I look up and I see like this whole family watching me metal detect,
Yeah. I see on here, Bill Marsh is just saying, he goes, I have a neighbor or neighbors like that too. Cost them over $9,000 over the last 12 years over stuff. They were talking about the codes and all that other stuff. Nosy neighbors. Nosy neighbors are okay in some instances. We had a neighbor that would constantly peeking out her window, seeing what's going on over our house. But it was really nice when we went on the road that we knew nobody was going to go on our property because she was spying them all the time out the front window. This was when we lived in Zephyr Hills, Florida. And it's like, she'd call us, well, I just saw the mailman go by, or I just saw, it's like, really? But hey, you know what? They were keeping an eye on our property, but they never cost me any money though. I don't know, to do that to a neighbor, even if you don't like them, to me, it's like you're just making that, I don't know, that argument or that stressor even worse between two neighbors. There's some of these neighbors, man, I tell you, you see it on the news every once in a while, man, they try to halfway kill each other sometimes. I don't know whether that's a thing now or not.
My friend next door said, when we first moved in, he goes, watch out, there's people with binoculars watching everything you do. And I was like, what? And he goes, that house diagonally across the street, he goes, I thought I saw this lady, and I saw a glint, and I thought, what the hell is that? So he got a pair of binoculars, and he's looking through her window and sees her looking straight at him with binoculars.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I guess she saw him, looking with binoculars at her, and next thing, all the windows go shut.
Mm-hmm.
And then another window opens up, like crack over on the other side of the house.
Yeah.
And the lady's probably in her 70s, but I said, she probably doesn't have anything else to do, bored.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like, Gavin's saying on here, it's better than a dog sometimes. And I have to agree with Gavin on that because our dog, I don't let him, he'll go out. If he sees somebody by the road, he'll go out there and bark, but he usually barks like 3 or 4 times. Then he'll stand and watch him. I don't mind that kind of stuff, but we've had neighbors, my God, 2 o'clock in the morning, the dog is still barking and barking and barking. It's like, even out here, and it's pretty quiet out here. I've done a show out on the porch before, and, you hear, crickets and everything else. You don't usually hear too much going on, but, dogs drive me crazy when they're, 24 hours a day because you never know what's going on out there. With mine, at least, if my neighbors hear my dog bark, they're looking out their windows because there's something ain't right. And that's the kind of dog I love. They do their job, and they're not constant yappers. Even
we had these, about 25 years ago, we had these renters behind us, and they let this poor dog out.
Oh.
They just gotten the dog, and it was barking. And finally, I just went in the backyard about 3 o'clock in the morning and shot a bottle rocket right over their house. Next thing, the dog's in the house. And never happened barking again outside.
Oh. I just, I never saw a sense in that, a constant barker. Some dogs are like that, but my mom had a husky, and they finally broke him of it with a coffee can with, I want to say it's 14 pennies or something in it. Every time the dog barked, he'd shake it.
He'd shake it.
And it stopped him from doing it. He'd stopped doing it. But I
know a couple other people that told me about that technique.
Yeah, and it worked for them, but I just didn't want to sit there every 10 seconds, it seems like, and shake that stupid can.
Well,
you
do it for a while, and then the dog just, he knows not to do that.
Yeah, it's essentially a attention getter. It gets their attention and makes them stop for, and they get the idea.
I think it's a high pitch, and they don't like that sound.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I have this training collar for him, and it has the sound like just a beep essentially, and then it has a little. It's like a vibrate button where it just vibrates, doesn't do anything, and then it has a static shock thing if you really needed to use it. But it's not like they're not like they used to be, where it was like voltage going in them. It's more or less just an attention getter with the one I got anyways. I didn't want something that would shock my dog. But most of the time I could just hit the sound. And it's all, it just gets attention. He'll look back at me and he'll come to me or what have you.
Yeah, there was a thing a couple of years ago at the other house. And I was on the computer and I noticed that this dog was just barking its head off. And so after about a half an hour, just constant, and I thought, what the heck is going on, and never heard this before. And so I go down the alley and I see the dog that these people have, and I'm thinking, and it's on the porch looking in the back window and it's just barking incessantly.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to the house and then I couldn't stand it. And I went up, knocked on the door, and these two young women will answer the door, and they were babysitting, and they threw the dog out, in the back. And I go, and I couldn't believe they're sitting right there in the living room, and the dog is looking in the window barking like,
yeah,
it was so loud. It was two houses from me,
right?
And it was so loud, and I was on the other side of the house from them, and it was so loud that it was literally driving me crazy.
Yeah.
And so I just went, knocked on the door, and they go, what's going on? And I said, could you
stop
that dog from barking?
You shut that thing up.
This is ridiculous. That dog has been barking for an hour.
Yeah.
And I can hear it all the way through my house, and I live 2 houses away. Right. Like, okay, we'll bring it in.
Well, at least you did that. The ones that give me, you're out there metal detecting, and I don't know whether, I think the dog could hear through the headphones maybe, but he wasn't barking at all when I was walking around out there checking out where I wanted to hunt at, on this property. I got that detector fired up, and I'm wearing headphones, and it's like every time I got a signal, that dog would bark. And he's like 2 doors down, and it wasn't really bothering me. It was just amazing that when I didn't have a target or wasn't making any noise, he'd stop barking. As soon as I got a target and went to exit off to find the target, he must have been hearing it. I mean, they have really good hearing anyways, but it was something he didn't like the tone of it or whatever. And he would just start barking. And I get the target, of course, digging it and everything. He would stop barking. I go on to the next and I get another target. Boom, he'd start up again. It's almost like having a second warning. Don't miss the target. You got a dog barking. There's a target there. So it drove Pauline crazy, but because she wasn't wearing headphones.
One time we were metal detecting this Civil War camp, and up on this ridge, and there's this big path that comes through the ridge from like this housing development. I don't know, but maybe about a quarter of a mile away, maybe. And people would, take walks around and stuff, and it's all developed now. But all of a sudden, I see this dog charging toward me, and it starts trying to bite the coil because I'm swinging it back and forth.
Yeah.
And I stop, and the dog stops. And I see this guy running through the woods coming toward me. And he didn't have the dog on a leash.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh my God!" He goes, "That dog saw that coil going back and forth, and it drove him crazy." He goes, "Oh," and I said, "I thought that's what happened." I said, So I said, "Here, we'll see." And I started swinging again, and the dog is nuts, going back and forth after the coil.
No, I had one our last bulldog did the same thing. Anytime I was out in the yard metal detecting, she'd come over. I don't know whether she thought she was playing. She never tried to bite it, but she was jumping at it like she was going to. But that wasn't the best of it was when I'm out there with a weed whip. I mean, a gas-powered weed whip. I got pretty stout one. It's pretty, and she's running at it, and it's like finally had to start putting her in the house when I mowed the lawn and stuff because she'd try to eat up the lawnmower or the weed whip or whatever I'm using. Even my metal detector, she'd come at it like she was going to eat it up. Never try to bite me or nothing like that, but it's like, what is up with that? I think it's just the motion. They think it's playtime or the sound of it, or I don't know. Animals act weird.
Or maybe she thought it was attacking you.
Well, maybe so. I don't know. But no, when I was like with the Bliss tool, I was out there hunting a couple of different times, and I saw Gunner do this too. And years ago, when he was sitting there metal detecting, and all these deer come running across the field right at him, and stopped and looked at him. I do, when I was out here, I had, I don't even know if I put a video up about it. I'm sitting there metal detecting, and all these turkeys come flying in, and they land about 20, 30 yards from me, and they're sitting there staring at me. I don't know whether they could. It was just weird. I've never had that happen before. Deer do that. I've even had a fox in the middle of the day come out and investigate what the heck that sound is. Like, I guess that's what they're doing. It's not a normal sound that they hear all the time. So they start getting curious and looking at it. It must be what it is, but they darn sure come out of the woodwork sometime. And it doesn't seem to happen with, well, it never really happened with my White's machine at all. I don't know what, maybe it's just the sound, I guess the tone of it, or I don't know. It's strange.
Could be the frequency. Yeah, they have these dog whistles,
Yeah, well, yeah.
And dogs can hear super high frequencies. I mean, ones that we can't even hear. So
I've often wondered
it probably hurts their ears, certain sounds and stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. One thing that surprised me though, the guys that water hunt in the ocean or whatever, you're using pulse induction or VLF, whatever they're using. I mean, I know that sharks don't. I've seen it on like videos and aerial photos of people metal detecting in the water and having sharks go right behind them when they're out there metal detecting and stuff like that because of the frequency the detectors put off. I thought would really bother like a shark or something like that, or bother them, or like a gator. I don't know how much they hear or how much they feel the electromag. I don't know what you'd even call it. I guess electromagnetic kind of thing, that it would bother them and keep them away a little bit. I don't know. I was thinking about the other day with sharks, especially because I know that they use frequency or whatever. They use they have sensors on their snout or whatever. They can pick up electrical charges and stuff like that. I was wondering if metal
Carl
detectors...
Bismer did a show one time, I think with Dave McMahon, and detecting lifestyle, and he's a famous treasure hunter, water hunter,
right?
And he told me that he was talking about sharks and all kinds of stuff, and he said most sharks, they eat one meal and then they cruise around for a week or two. They don't need to eat every day, and they're full. They gouge themselves, and then and he said they're bored and they're curious, and if they see something, they go investigate it.
Right, they mouth it.
So he was saying that he had this pet barracuda one time that was about, huge, really long one. And I think there was 15 divers that were diving in the water, and this barracuda would suddenly appear next to him, and nobody else. And it would stay right next to him all the time while he was detecting.
Yeah.
And then he said one of the weirdest things that ever happened was about 1,000-pound hammerhead shark went between his legs when he was fanning a target.
Oh my God, that give me.
He had a hole open and he was fanning. It was some coin or something in the hole, but all of a sudden this hammerhead shark sticks its big head right between his legs to look in the hole, and stuck its snout in the hole, and then backed off, and went on its way. And I was sitting there going, "Oh my God,
Yeah, I don't mess with sharks. So.
But he said he knows the signs when to go in the water and when not.
Yeah, that's a big.
He said, he's been doing it since he was like in his, I think, a teenager in early 20s. And he said over the years, he has no fear at all. These animals, except he sometimes he can tell that they're
agitated or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like gators too. Gators and sharks, and Well, you got a breeding season, I mean, and they had a problem down here. Well, they probably still do, but I mean, it was real prevalent about 8 or 9 years ago. These people going out in the ocean and in a boat and then jumping out of the boat to go swimming. Well, it turned out to be a breeding season for the sharks, that particular kind of shark, and people are getting ate up pretty good. And it's like, man, go to a swimming pool or something like that. You got to know the environment you're in and how they're going to react. And, it's like gator season, or breeding season, gators. You don't want to get near the water when you have a bull gator around. I mean, they're territorial, or you got a female that's on eggs. They will absolutely eat your butt up if you get near their nest. I mean, you see that on TV anyways. You got to be real careful, and gators are nothing to mess with. In most situations they don't bother you, but like breeding season and of course when they're sitting on a nest, you see the same thing. I had a Canadian goose that tried to attack the crap out of me when I was just fishing. You get near that nest, and boy, they'll dive bomb you. Nothing like getting hit in the head with
swans.
Swans, yes.
Swans are like that.
Yeah, they make the best guard dogs, I tell you. My mother-in-law used to have 5 or 6 of them things. Boy, I tell you what, they're like donkeys. I mean, they're like guard dogs. They'll let you know if anything's near, but they'll also jump up in the air and try to get you once in a while. But Canadian goose.
Yeah, we were one time we were metal detected in the water, and the guy was driving. The swans kind of, this one male came up on the, right on the edge of the beach, and flapping its wings and doing all these weird preening things. So, and then a bass boat pulled up, and the swan went over and attacked the boat. And the people were like pushing them off with their reels,
right,
their fishing rods. And so we got in the boat, and we're heading up to another spot. And I happened to look back, and the swan is in full flight, about a foot off the water, going straight for us.
Oh.
And so I tell the guy, "Hey, look behind you." And he freaks out. Just as the thing gets there, he just revs the engine and gets away.
Mm-hmm.
That thing was like booking, trying to get that, So we came back the next week, and we driving, kind of going by that cove, and we looked over, and there was, we saw the male and the female and about 6 chicks that were in the water. There was a big swamp there behind it, so they were probably hiding in that swamp next to that beach.
I wonder if the
guys too close.
I wonder if anybody out west or like northwest, like with the badgers, like Wyoming and stuff like that. I mean, I've come across them even parking. When I was driving semi, we had a drop yard up there in Cheyenne, and I got out of the truck. Pauline was with me actually, and we were hauling stuff down to Denver and back. Get out of the truck, and biggest damn badger I ever saw in my life come tolling across the parking lot. All these other trucks right there, it saw me, and it was coming to, I don't know what it was going to try to do. I usually don't jump up on the running boards for nothing, not even a dog, but that badger, I was up on the doggone running boards of that truck and trying to get on the catwalk because I couldn't get to the truck itself because I was dropping the tank.
Those things are feisty animals.
They will. It looks like a Wolverine.
They'll go after a bear.
Yeah. No. Wolverines will even go after a bear, and most of the time they'll whoop it. I mean, there's no fear whatsoever. But I don't know how many of the guys out metal detecting, you think about it, I've never had any problems really down here at all. I mean, a couple of times with snakes, but, like we got black bears, we got panthers, we got bobcats, and all these different hogs, the wild hogs down here. And well, even I've had more problems out of hawks than anything. I don't know whether they don't see me or they're flying through the trees and I've almost been hit in the head a couple of different times, and they're not coming after me. It's like they didn't see me, they come through the trees and I've almost been nailed. But I don't even want to think about that with the claws they have. Oof, that'd be a bad deal. But other than that, I really don't have much problem with wildlife at all. They're curious more than anything else, but I know they're around. You see, there's Florida black bear. I mean, they're pretty prevalent, and they're actually coming out of the woods now and messing with residential areas. I know you have that problem up there too, or some of the people along the East Coast, these deer and stuff, and bears. And I think it was New York. I said, I think it was that they had bears coming right up right in their backyards, and deer coming up in the front yards and eating the flowers and everything else in these residential neighborhoods. And so I guess in those situations, I don't know I'm sure the bear would attack you. I don't know. I said never. I'm knock on wood. I've never had a problem with it, which is good. But still, there's certain situations. I know, like Brandon said, he always carries his gun. A lot of us, we get into these remote areas or during different seasons. I carry mine out here just because of the water moccasins and everything out by the, the pond down there. I'll carry mine with me, or in the deeper woods where I have to drive like a mile back to get to the property and through the woods and stuff. I'll carry a gun then, but I've never had to use it really. I mean, I think I shot a snake one time, but I don't really worry about it. It was right by the guy's house. He's like, get rid of it. So, just took care of it. But usually, like, unless it's a non-poisonous snake, I don't really bother them because they eat all the little critters and rodents and everything. But rattlesnakes, of course, and water moccasins, I'll if I'm on somebody's property, they don't want them, I'll get rid of them. Just because of if they have kids or something like that. I think it's, I was talking to the neighbor of ours, and that's her big worry. She lives right near the river. She keeps her grass cut low because she has little kids, from age 3 to 11 out running around in the yard all the time right by the river. Well, you don't want them getting bit up by a water moccasin or something like that. They're smart enough to, get away from them. But one thing I learned about water moccasins is they don't make a lot of moves. You don't know that you're on them until you're almost stepping on the things, at least in the environment that I'm in down here. So rattlesnakes I don't worry about because I hear them before, usually before I get there. But you got to watch the water moccasins. They're sneaky little buggers. I'm sure the copperheads and stuff like that up in the fields up there are probably the same way, aren't they? I don't know if you've come across those. They don't really make a lot of moves.
The copperheads are usually ambush type.
Yeah, look.
Snakes. So, you don't see them like, slithering around and stuff. They're usually coiled up and kind of like motionless. And when the prey walks right by it is when they just, they lunge out and get it. But a lot of times you don't even see them. They kind of blend in.
Right. Yeah.
The pattern on their scales and stuff is, kind of brown and different, kind of almost like, brush or something.
Well, I used to make money like that when I was a kid, and we lived down here for, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years. And then we moved back up north again. My dad got transferred, but I'd catch snakes. That was my thing. Black snakes, rat snakes, didn't matter. I'd catch them and sell them to the local pet store. And they always buy them off of me. That was what I did, mowed lawns and caught snakes. They wouldn't take the poisonous ones, obviously. But the one thing I did find out, those copperheads, and up in West Virginia, I was up there with at my uncle's place, and you got to be careful of those things, man. Even like we'll talk about something like the size of a 5-gallon bucket lid, laying on the ground. Underneath that, there's probably a snake. You know what I mean? Because that's what I found up in West Virginia, man. It's like every time I saw something laying in the field, I don't care if it was a water bucket or whatever, it seemed like they were always coiled up underneath that thing. So you go down and pick the bucket up, and there's a snake underneath it. They get burrowed underneath it like. So you got to keep your eye out about that, especially when you're in some little bit higher grass and stuff like. Don't reach. Make sure what you're reaching for is what you're reaching for. You might reach down there and come back with a snake bite. I'm sure it happens. Fortunately, we haven't heard a lot about that. I don't know if you've heard of anybody getting bit up or anything like that while detecting, at least not in the last several years anyways. So we're also swinging a coil in front of us too. That's what, about 2 years ago, I think it was a rattlesnake over here on another property, and I was with a bliss tool, and he came after coil, because that's what's making the motion, but that's also 2 foot in front of me. So, I had a chance to back off, and he just slithered on his way, and it was no problem. But, you're not just like a hiker's just walking, unless he has his walking stick out in front of him. I don't know why he'd do that, but at least they're going to hit the motion. So at least you may see him hit the coil, which if he wants to try to hit an epoxy resin coil, he can knock himself out. He's going to break his teeth on it, but as long as he doesn't get me in the leg, we're good. But several guys down here wear the snake, the snake guards or whatever on their legs and stuff. They're making those a lot lighter too, Craig. They're not made out. They're not heavy like they used to be. They're using last set I saw was a heavy, almost like a plastic film inside of the cloth or leather. Yeah, they could make it thinner that way, but it was still strong enough to keep a snake, fangs from going through it. So they're a lot more comfortable than they used to be. I know when I was in Louisiana, they had almost like cowboy boots, but they came all the way up to almost their knee, and that was because of the snakes down there. Down there. I've never worn a set, and I haven't done it in a long time. But then again,
you go on Amazon or eBay and type in snake boots, and they got all kinds of snake boots.
Yeah, I'm sure. I thought about getting, I really did think about getting a pair of them. I don't know.
It'd be funny buy somebody some snake boots and put a rubber snake inside.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. Thank God I've never been scared of snakes at all. I just never had any kind of a fear of them, even when I was little. Never had a problem. Now, spiders and stuff, I don't go up, I'm not like jump over a counter, get away from them kind of person. But my theory is the best spider is a dead spider. Now, my wife, on the other hand, will climb over a counter and jump over top of you and go out the door to get away from a spider. So will my daughter. That's hilarious. What happened a couple of years ago, they did that, and my daughter saw, by her standards, there's a huge spider over here in the bedroom. And I go in there and it's this little bitty spider, maybe a 1/4 inch long. That in her mind, it was a great big tarantula. And I'm like, what do you want me to do about it? Kill it. But the way she come out of that room was like a freight train, man. It was step out of the way because she's coming through.
For years, I've walked through the woods and just walked right into spider webs, and I got so where it didn't even bother me. As long as I didn't see a red Aeroglass on the back of it, it was, fine.
Yeah.
But I know people, as soon as they get a web on them, oh my God, it's like they go crazy, And I used to be just covered in silk, especially like in the fall, when it starts, it's kind of like at the end of the summer and the early fall. That's when you see a lot of spiders and their webs out. Seems like more, when it's still a little bit warm.
Mm-hmm. But, well, we got these. That's when, these spiders that are the size of your hand. Their legs go out that far. We brown recluses and wood spiders and stuff. I'm sorry, when they get that big and they start stalking you. And Pauline's had it happen to her years ago before we even met. She had one that she saw in the kitchen, came in the door somehow, was up on the ceiling, crawling on the ceiling, and followed her and stalked her. It was not a good sign. She actually called didn't you call the cops on that one?
Yes, because I was going to shoot a hole.
She was going to shoot a hole in the ceiling, trying to shoot it. It wouldn't leave her alone. It cornered her in the bedroom, believe it or not. And it got into there, and it was on the ceiling. And we're talking about a spider with, probably legs close to the size of your pinky. I mean, or they look like that anyway. These things get pretty big. I mean, you're talking about a black widow. I mean, they're pretty small. But we get like banana spiders. They look so intimidating. They're black and yellow, and they got the real pointy legs and everything. But they're not going to bother you. But those, brown recluses and stuff, I just don't. I think, I'm taking a shoe and throwing it at it or something. When they start stalking you, and they start literally stalking you, they'll do that. I always had a rule: you stay in that corner over there, and you're good. You come out of that corner, you're dead. I'm not going to play that game with you. That's the way I used to be. Now I just spray, the spider stuff all over and everything. We don't have, at least on our property, thank God, we don't have a big problem with spiders at all. We've lived in places where you go out in the barn and stuff, you constantly had to look for spiders all the time. They just, they come in there between that and the other kind of poisonous or bitey things would be in there. But we have also had open air barns down here. We didn't, close them all up like they do up north. We didn't no need to. So they have a lot more places to get in at and stuff. But yeah, I think
to me the worst thing is yellow jackets.
Oh,
they have a ground nest, and you step on them, and all of a sudden they're going up your pant legs and up your shirt.
My neighbor got nailed several months ago. He was mowing out in his backyard, right across the street from me, and he hit a yellow jacket nest in the ground. He got stung like 12 or 15 times in the face and neck and arms. and he left the lawnmower there. He left it running. It ran into the fence, and he didn't know how to get to it. It finally stalled itself out, because he jumped off the seat and everything. But he was out of there, and he went back that night, and he just sprayed the living crap out of everything. But yeah, it got him. You should see he was all swelled up, man. And I'd never seen yellow jackets down here. I know they have them down here, obviously, but like up where you live at, Craig, you told me that if you start digging a hole and see a yellow jacket get out, get the hell away from it. You know what I mean? Because they're going to come out of the ground at you. But I've never seen it down here. Now we have what we call guinea wasp, and they're little bitty, they're like smaller than a housefly. But those things, they sit in these palmetto trees and bushes and stuff like that, or they'll come after you and they will sting the crap out of you. And they they're very aggressive. They're worse than hornets, so, we do have that kind of stuff down here, but you got to be watching for them. You can't hardly, I don't know, you just don't catch them with your vision right away. And if they get like 7 or 8 of them coming after you, they'll, it's weird. You could be standing there and all of a sudden get stung and not even be around anything. They're just almost like a lake. I call them Lake Erie black flies, and you guys up in Ohio probably know what I'm talking about. I mean, they're worse than horse flies. They'll seek you out just to come and not even give you a warning. Come in there and bite you, no problem, and draw blood on you. And it's, at least a horse fly will buzz around you a little bit before he nails you. But we used to get them up. I lived in Waterford, Pennsylvania when I was growing up, and that's what we called them, is Lake Erie black flies. And man, those things just tear you up, and no warning at all. So we don't have very many things like down here like that. Pauline, have you ever come across any insects other than guinea wasp that attack you like that? I don't know if you ever have or not.
Every now and then we get the bees from the port where they're coming over.
Well, yeah, we were talking about the yellow jackets Burton got hit by.
Those big old damn horse flies.
Oh, yeah, the great big horse fly. Yeah, they'll dive bomb you down here. I haven't seen a lot of those this year. Craig, these things are about, well, horse fly anyway, but it's like about 3 inches long. It looks like this big old thing's flying at you. But they usually give you a little bit of warning anyways. You can swat them out of the way. So.
Yeah, the other week I got attacked by mosquitoes outside, and after about 5 bites, I decided to cut it. I don't like really putting that spray all over me.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's certain, there's all kinds of different mosquitoes. Some of them really, you don't feel them until after they're gone. And in other ones, you feel this real stinging thing, and you look, and there's this huge mosquito sucking your blood.
Yeah, they got some out down here the size of quarters now. A mosquito the size of a big old mosquito. The one thing about the spider bites too is that you don't, at least the spiders I've been bit by, you don't even feel them. You don't feel the bite, but it'll darn sure tear you up. I mean, some of these things will, you got to get them taken care of. They pretty much eat your flesh, whatever the venom is or whatever. It's those brown recluses are bad.
Chiggers.
Oh, those things are horrible. I had it one time up in Tennessee when I was hunting with Bill and Tom, and I'll never forget that. You guys can have all those chiggers you want. I'll send some to you. We don't have them down here, or at least I haven't gotten into them, thank God. But up there in Tennessee, I got pretty well tore up by those things. Bill Pendergrass got nailed by them. I mean, it was all the way up both his legs, but he was hunting in like neck-high weeds in the summertime. It was like just before fall. And he was just ate up with those chiggers. Oh, my God, those things are horrible. You can have all that you want.
I live about 35 miles from aqua chigger.
Yeah. Yeah. I was freaking out about a month ago, Pauline? I had to get her. She pulled a tick off of me. I was out there mowing and stuff and chopping wood and everything else, and came in, and it was right on my side. Must have got underneath my shirt somehow or whatever, but like part of your back where you just can barely reach with your thumb to scratch your back kind of thing. That's right where it was. Like, God, get this thing off of me. We just talked about this on the radio show. Now I'm going to get this Lyme disease thing and everything else. I was freaking out a little bit because Bill and Barbara and a lot of the other people on here have had problems with the doggone Lyme disease. And I don't know. I mean, it's just
gotten worse over the years. And
scary. It is very scary.
And back in the back in the early days, they didn't really have a good test for it. And,
we didn't even know about it when we were kids. I mean, God.
Yeah, and now they got all kinds of different varieties of it. So.
Yeah. Well, they have.
It's the same thing with mosquitoes. You get these Zika mosquitoes and all kinds of different, stuff that's coming from, other countries. I guess I don't know. I wonder if you get some disease and then the mosquito bites you, and that's how they get stuff in them.
That's what I think it is too. That West Nile virus and everything else. I think they've pretty much proven has bit somebody that had it. Or
we had that. We had it up here. When I was in Alexandria, I remember 10 or 15 years ago, we had a terrible variety, and all of a sudden, there's no crows at all for like 5 years, not a single crow. And they found out that they were eating the Karen that had been bitten by the mosquitoes and then catching the disease, and it was killing them.
Wow.
But
scary.
And then it seemed like all of a sudden it came back, but they weren't, seeming to catch it anymore. But I don't know. It's
yeah. That's Gavin was Gavin was asking what a chigger was, and well, Bill explained it. It's kind of like a flea that get under your skin and cause massive, really itchy rash. And the only way that I've found, they sell, you can use Vicks. We used to use nail polish, clear nail polish, and put it over top of the area.
I'll tell you another good one is a Sorbine Junior.
Yeah, they don't like, they'll kill them or back them off. They actually sell a cream. I bought that up in Tennessee when I got them on my leg, and it worked really good. Within a day or two, they were not bothering me anymore. But man,
we used to use what was that? Skin So Soft by Avon.
Yep. I used that before too.
That stuff would cover it, but it didn't seem as effective as some of the other things. But
no, it's. You smelled pretty though, Craig. We're prettiest smelling relic hunters out there.
If you put that stuff on you beforehand, then you won't get them usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it smells so bad for them. But
yeah,
I see, they say that guy that does what Green Mountain metal detecting.
Yeah,
in Vermont, and he uses that same Prometheum stuff that I use, and but those guys up there, I saw a couple videos from up, cellar hole guys, and they're just getting killed by these, massive clouds of bugs.
I can't, it's one of those things where I'm not, it's that annoying to me where I just want the world's biggest shocker just to fire it in the air just to fry them all. I just hate mosquitoes, man. I've been ate up by those so bad in the past that, I watch these videos and it makes me cringe right there. Like, man, I'd have a mosquito net on, and of course in the summertime, you can't wear a heavy jacket or nothing like that. It just gets annoying, it's pretty much my.
Well, I was watching the Stealth Diggers, and Keebler had, like a jacket on in the summer.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm not cold. This is to keep the bugs off, because I'm actually sweating underneath there. But but the other day it was so hot, they brought a bunch of new people out, and they were hunting, and all of a sudden, people were like starting to feel ill. And after about 2 or 3 hours, and they cut the hunt short, but it was in the 90s.
Yeah, they're just not used to that kind of heat. It's one thing.
Well, who is? I mean, especially when you're, digging and stuff, you start expending energy, and
I've always
makes it even hotter.
Well, the one thing that I found that works the best, if you guys are living in Florida, down here, if you go out and make it a point to go out every day and be in that heat and do the yard work, whatever you normally do outside, and don't spend all day long and, like all week long. If you work an office job, it's almost impossible, but, you're in air conditioning all the time. Then if you're in that situation and you go out in the heat, you're definitely not used to it. But if you're working out in it a lot, like I do, it doesn't affect me. I mean, it does affect me, but it's not on the same extreme. Like my neighbor passed out on my front porch, for crying out loud, and it, I could sit out there and have 10 beers and not, what I mean, and not have that situation happen. But I've been living down here so long and been outside and everything. But you get people that are, going out metal detecting that don't get out as often, or, especially if they're traveling, go to some other state. a southern state or something to go metal detecting. They're just not used to that humidity, the heat index. It'll wipe you out, man. I'll tell you.
I've always been able to, deal with it because I played tennis and taught tennis.
Right.
In it,
yeah, you run track and everything else.
In the middle of the day for 5 hours, from,
right.
Like, 10 o'clock in the morning until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is the worst time.
I've always had to right to the point where right when I can tell when it's starting to happen to me. It just, the way I feel, I don't know, it's, you get a woozy feeling or whatever, and I could just tell, okay, I got to slow down, I got to take a break, and then I'll, take 5-minute break, drink some water, and I'm fine. But other people, I've seen, well, we had one kid, a younger guy, he was, 18, 19 years old, he was over at the post, and he wanted to go out and make a phone call because he couldn't get a signal. So he was sitting in his car, and he was already tired, he'd worked third shift, came in, whatever, had been up, fell asleep in his car. And luckily somebody went out there to see if he was, what he was up to, if he was still on the phone. And he was passed out in the car, man. And he had the windows rolled down. It was just so hot. Then he dozed off, and we drug him out of there and put ice on him and everything, trying to get him cooled down. And it's just not a fun experience, I'm sure. And it's not fun to experience or to visually experience that when somebody's going through it because, well, heat stroke can kill you, straight up. If you don't get cooled down, properly. I've heard of people too, when you guys are out there working outside or metal detecting, you come in and grab a shower at the end of the day, if you're still, you just come from outside, don't get in a cold shower. Make sure that's at least lukewarm. There was a friend of ours that came in, he passed out right in the shower, man. He hit with the cold water, and it was just a shock to his system. The heat, man, it's not a good thing. It can get you if you're not used to it.
My brother had a weird thing happen last night.
Excuse me.
His daughter called and said that, could you check on our cats? They probably need food and stuff. So
right.
When he went up there, he had his dog, Marley, in the car, and it's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And he had the air conditioning on, and it was 70 degrees inside the truck. So he goes into the apartment and spends like 10 minutes fixing up, the cat box and the food and everything. And he comes back out, and there's a police comes over and starts going, "Is that your dog in that car, in that truck?" And so he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Somebody reported it." And it was, 10 minutes, and so a brother opens the door, and like the 70-degree cold air comes out. So the police said something about, "Oh, okay, well,
no big deal."
Definitely, and my brother tried to explain, but he was pissed off. He was like,
well, yeah, they see it a lot. It happens down here, and it doesn't happen as often as it used to. These, whatever reason, they go inside and leave their kids in the car. And down here, they will smash your window. I don't care if it's a dog or a kid or anybody. And I don't blame them. I've almost to the point where I'll smash somebody's window. I've seen, they turn their car off and they leave their dog in there, and the windows they're inched down, and it's out right into direct sunlight, and we have a 95-degree day. You're going to fry that. I think really what they should do is take the dog out, make sure the dog's okay, and throw the owner in the car and close the door and leave him in there for 20 minutes just to give, hey, this is what it's doing to your dog. It's not a fun experience, something like that, because you'll hear about it.
I got a better idea. Just lock them in the trunk.
Yeah. You just can't, common sense. We were talking about it today where these Humane Society or whatever was talking about, they go to these people's houses and they have 25 or 30 dogs tied up on chains, no water, no food. I think they ought to take the owner and put him out there on a dog chain and let him sit out there for a week without food. You know what I mean? Yeah, it just, how can you be so cruel? We had a rule at the farm when we were at Pauline's mom's house, and the kids were there and everything, and we'd stay there for, a couple weeks or whatever, kind of like vacation or whatever, and they'd be in charge of feeding the animals and everything. We had, goats and ducks and this and that and the other thing. And, well, do I change that water today? I said, well, if you could say that you wouldn't feel bad about taking a cup and dipping it down in that water trough and drinking some of it, then no, you don't have to change the water. If you won't drink it, then you don't expect the animal to drink it. You know what I mean? It just, like around here, I mean, we leave our dogs are free to come and go as they please as far as in the house or whatever else. But there's water bowls everywhere around our house. I mean, we're talking, substantial, but, we change them every other day. And well, most of the time, Loki will drink most of the water. He drinks, I swear to God, that dog drinks about 5 gallons of water a day. But, but yeah, we put them all around the house, even though they can come inside to get it because, well, I never wanted anybody to say that we don't feed and water our dogs. I see some people that just put their dog out on a chain and leave them out there for however long, and I don't know, they don't take care of them. Not everybody, but I mean, there's
I'm
certain
sure
ones.
animals are just like humans. They don't want
nasty
water that's been sitting there all day or whatever. I always change Morgan's water. If it goes down like an inch, I actually pour all the water out and put fresh water in.
Pauline,
each time, but.
Pauline, every evening, Pauline does that. She goes around with we have a big water pitcher, and she fills it up with water and goes around to all the dog dishes and, fills them up with water. Mm-hmm. That's her little thing to do. But it's being humane. It's like, God, they don't have much choice. You get them chained up in the yard or something, and you're not taking care of them. Well, that's like torturing them, for God's sake. Thank God not everybody does that, but I see some of them. It's like, horses are the same way. I've seen more horses in the past where they just don't, they're skin and bones, and just get rid of them, sell them, give them to somebody that wants to have a horse. Don't leave them out there to be skin and bones and not be healthy. I don't know. It's called being humane, I think, at any rate. But buddy, it's about 10 o'clock. Wow. So
yeah,
I'm probably going to wrap it up tonight. But, on chat here, we had a couple of new people anyway. And let me see here. I saw one person. Oh, Erie from Virginia. He's been on here before. I saw the icon right there, and I saw, it looks like a new avatar or whatever. I kind of looked through the avatars. Of course, Bill Marsh has a skull on his now, so I kind of familiarize myself with that. So.
Yeah, he's down the road from me.
Oh, Erie is?
He's in Winchester, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool. You're up in your neck of the woods. Yeah, but yeah, guys, we'll wrap it up for tonight. We'll be on, let's see here, every Thursday and Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the other shows on our on Spreaker right there. They have a lot of different topics that people talk about on there. Not only metal detecting, but, everything from, vaping and sports and news and everything else. And most of them you can download, and you can listen to them on the way to work or whatever, so you don't have to listen to a bunch of commercials and stuff. A lot of good stuff on there. I've been actually looking into that more and more and been saving a lot of stuff or downloading into my computer because they start talking. Of course, we don't have a lot of time to listen, all the time to an hour-long show during the daytime, so I'll save them on my computer or save them whatever and listen to them later.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, guys, thanks for listening, and be sure to like and follow the show. Tell a friend about it, and we'll talk to you on Thursday night. 8 p.m. Y'all have a good night. Keep digging, and God bless.